Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Walk and Talk. How are we all doing? I hope you and your dogs have had a fabulous week. I know I have. I finally bit the bullet and renewed my annual car park pass for a car park in our city that is like the best access point for so many gorgeous dog walks, literally straight out of the car. There's like woodland and meadows, and there's a massive lake and rivers. Oh, it's just divine. And my car park pass actually ran out like a month ago. And for reasons unknown, I've just been putting off renewing it. And for even stranger reasons unknown, I don't know, I begrudge so thoroughly having to pay an individual car parking fee every time you go and use a car park. Like, it costs £50 to buy a pass that lasts you an entire year, but to park there for 1 hour costs £2.50. No, thank you very much, Satan. You cannot extort my money from me on an hour-by-hour basis at that obscene rate. Thank you very much. So, yeah, we essentially haven't been there for ages, and we've missed it. So yeah, now we're back in business, running through the woods, living our very best lives. Just to say, if you follow me on Instagram and you're thinking, well, you're talking complete and utter shit because I've seen you walking in those woods for weeks on your stories. Honesty, I'm actually trying to get ahead of myself for the summer holidays, and I am currently coming to you like the ghost of Christmas past, very much from the beginning of June. But that doesn't mean that what I have to say in this episode will be any less amazing, because today, without further ado, we are diving into one of my favorite happy things, the thing that is literally the foundation of anything and everything you've ever wanted to do or achieve with your dog. Like, you want an amazing recall, you won't get it without this. You want loose lead walking, it's not happening without this. You want reliable obedience out there in the real world, you're dreaming if you haven't invested value in this first. What am I talking about? It's engagement. Because if you've ever felt like your dog knows what to do, but just doesn't bother sometimes, like they've ghosted you at the park or tuned you out when you really needed them to listen, and you've just put it down to them being stubborn or to your own poor quality training, you can forget all that. I'm here to change it for you today. None of those things are your problem. The truth is, we've been taught to chase obedience from the very beginning, right? You go to puppy class and it's like sit down, stay, which, don't get me wrong, obviously that stuff is really valuable, but we're expecting all that before we've built engagement. And that's just like trying to build a house before you've laid the foundations. Who was it who did that? I have like the Three Little Pigs in my head, but it's not those guys. Who built a house on sand or on a beach, and then the sea came in and the house fell down? That's a fable. That's some kind of story. Somebody tell me. I can't think. Anyway, that sea that comes in is the other dog across the park, or the squirrel, or the KFC wrapper in a hedge that your dog's just sniffed out. You know, you've done your obedience drills, but if you haven't built powerful, unswerving value in your dog's desire to connect and engage with you, to lock onto you, no matter what is going on in the environment, if you haven't laid that engagement foundation, all the obedience stuff will just fall apart when you need it most. Like the little house on the sand that was absolutely not built by the Three Little Pigs. Just like that. Engagement really is everything. So today in this episode, I want to unpack what engagement really means, why your dog is absolutely not just ignoring you on purpose, and how you can become the center of their world without shouting, without constantly nagging them, and absolutely without resorting to force, because you don't need to. So whether you're a new puppy owner, or you're living with a spicy teenage dog, or you're just trying to rebuild a relationship that's got a little bit off track, this episode is for you. So, right, let's just get into it. First of all, I want to make it crystal clear what I'm talking about by defining engagement. So, engagement is not just your dog looking at you when you say their name. It's not just a recall or a flashy trick. It's so much deeper than that. Essentially, engagement is your dog's willingness to emotionally invest in the training process. So let me say that again. Engagement is your dog's willingness to emotionally invest in the training process. It's their drive to check in with you and to choose you, even when the world is full of distractions. And it's not just a nice to have. In my opinion, it's absolutely essential, because without engagement, obedience becomes at best mechanical and at worst just completely unreliable. But with engagement, suddenly everything just feels so much lighter, quicker, and far more joyful, because you're living your best life because you know your dog is tuned in and going to deliver whatever, right? So you're on cloud nine all the time. And your dog is loving life too, because they actually want to be doing this stuff. Just being a part of the dream team that is you and your dog has become part of the reward itself for them, which sounds fabulous, doesn't it? So, how do we get here? Well, it's a challenging one because engagement isn't something you command, and it never can be, really, in the same way that you can't just instruct someone to love you, can you? You just have to be your best lovable self and inspire them to love you. And it's a lot like this with engagement. It's something you inspire. I think all too often we think of dog training like we're just programming a robot, like cue in, behavior out. But in reality, we know that dogs aren't robots. Dogs are emotional, sentient animals, and they are motivated by reinforcement, environment, and relationship. Ultimately, engagement itself grows from a dog feeling safe, seen, and understood. So, if engagement is the holy grail of dog training, like I'm selling it to be, let's talk about what's happening without it. What happens if we don't bother investing in engagement? And let's dissect where we're currently at when your dog just decides to ignore you, right? So, the first thing people will always say in this scenario is like, totally frustrated. Oh my God, he knows this at home. He does this like every day. He'll do it in the garden 100% of the time. And I fully believe you. I truly do. But training that only exists in a completely sterile, distraction free, disengaged context doesn't hold up under the pressures of the real world, which you're just proving in this scenario because your dog's now not listening to you because, you know, the training class is busy or noisy, or you're at the park and there's a lot of competing sights and sounds or whatever. And this stuff, these environments, this is actually what we're training our dogs for in the first place, right? So here's what might be going wrong in this scenario. Number one, there are obviously competing motivators. Your dog is constantly choosing between you and the world. If squirrels and sniffs or other dogs offer more novelty or excitement than you do, ultimately, when they are there, they will always win and you will always lose. Number two is a simple lack of reinforcement history. So we've trained behaviors, but not engagement, meaning we get that lovely sit at home, but not the attention in the park, because we've taught our dog to respond to a cue, but we haven't taught them that we offer fulfillment even when we're not bleating instructions, because we've never shown them that. We've never played the games that reinforce that experience. And number three, when we are just nagging without that connection, we're actually making it even more likely that our dogs will ignore us the next time as well. So if you're stood there saying, sit, 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 and you're just getting louder and more aggravated and repeating the cue over and over because your dog isn't listening, because your dog's nose is in a hedge, this isn't teaching engagement or building engagement. If anything, it's doing completely the opposite, because in this moment, your dog has, let's say they've found an amazing sniff trail. They've sniffed something good out in that hedge, and that is deeply reinforcing for them. And then at the same time as they're like having this lovely experience in that hedge, they can also hear you going on and on and on in the background whilst they are being directly reinforced for ignoring you, because they're having that amazing experience. They're simultaneously ignoring you. So the learning is, okay, well, if I ignore her, I get to have the amazing experience. Great things happen as a result of ignoring the human. So how are we going to turn this around? Okay, I'm going to share 3 simple things you can start doing today that can radically shift your dog's engagement levels, no matter what their age or their breed or their training background. I want you to have a go, listen to all 3, and then I want you to have a go at integrating 1, 2, or even just all 3 of them into your day with your dog and just see what shifts. So the first is ditch the bowl. So I want you to stop feeding your dog for free, because every bite of food is an opportunity to reinforce proximity, focus, and connection, whether you are rewarding a glance back out on a dog walk or using food to play some powerful, exciting proximity training games. Your dog's daily calories are your training currency. Is it cruel to do this? I don't think it is at all. If you pour your dog's dinner into a bowl and you're thinking it's cruel because your dog loves their food so much and now you're going to make them work for it. But the flip side is you're pouring all of your dog's dinner into a bowl and they inhale it in 3 minutes because they love it so much. And then that joyful experience is just done. That's it. It's done. But if you keep that food and use it to play games, to charge enrichment toys and activities, to scatter feed, to take on walks, to reward loads of good choices in the home, all of a sudden that one bowl of food becomes hundreds of joyful moments, which is amazing for your dog, but also for you, because it's not the dog bowl getting all the kudos for delivering that joy. It's the choice of engaging with you. And it's through these repeated moments of micro learning that happen continuously throughout the day that are just drip fed in to our dog's brains. It's through these that we end up permanently reshaping our dog's brain and redesigning their long-term behavior choices as a result. My second top tip is the activation exercise. And I love this one. It's a total game changer. And I teach it right at the beginning of my 21-day engagement training program. The way it works is that it's difficult without a video, but instead of telling your dog when it's time to work, like nagging them into a training session or bribing them to give you some attention so you can, practice some cues or whatever, we actually teach them to ask. So we wait for offered attention and we connect with that moment by lighting ourselves up with backwards movement and energy and rapid fire rewards, letting them step forward into that session with curiosity. And if they choose to disengage from that at any point, we basically just totally shut down ourselves. And this builds that super, super valuable internal motivation and emotional investment from your dog in training without you constantly having to cue or nag, which obviously out there in the world translates into a dog who doesn't just respond to a cue because they know what the reward is at the end of it, but because doing so has become intrinsically rewarding. If you're interested, definitely check out my engagement training course. I think this exercise is on day 2 or 3, possibly. It's definitely right up there, right at the beginning. And the demo video shows a whole session start to finish that I do with Albie. And you can see just in that one session how it works and how it dials up his desire to engage astronomically. Finally, tip number 3 is reinforce with the environment. So it's really easy to constantly think of the environment as the bad guy, the thing that is just out to get us, ruin our training, the thing we are constantly in competition with. But if you can flip that on its head and learn to use sniffing and chasing and just general access to the world as part of your toolkit, then you have just disarmed your enemy. So If your dog loves to go off and explore, use eye contact or a hand touch to unlock access to that thing. Make that connection in your dog's brain. Make yourself the gateway, the key to all of that good stuff that you know they love, and watch your dog's desire to engage and then re-engage skyrocket. Okay, so here's what I want you to take away from this week's episode. You are not boring. You are not a failure. You're just not yet the most reinforcing thing in your dog's world, but you absolutely can be. And it's not about controlling your dog. It's about inviting them into a partnership where they get to choose to show up with you, not out of fear or pressure, but because it just feels that good to be in your orbit. And if this episode has got your gears turning and you're thinking, yes, I want more of this, I want to actually learn this day by day in a fun and doable and manageable way, then I have just the thing for you, because my brand new 21-day engagement training course is live right now on my website, listendogtraining.com. Not only that, it's on sale until the end of June. So if you grab it in the next 10 days, you get a very tasty discount. Plus, let's not forget, because you're listening to this podcast, you can also use the discount code podcast10 at the checkout for an extra 10% off, even on top of the sale discount. Amazing value, guys. So in this course, you will learn how to become the center of your dog's world. It is packed with simple, powerful games that build focus and joy. And every day you will get access to a completely new video lesson with a structured, doable daily practice that fits into real life. And then by the end of the 21 days, there's a really cool challenge that I set you and your dog so you can prove to yourself just how far you've come. And you can show off to your friends and family too, because why not? You've worked hard, haven't you? So if you're ready to take everything we talked about today and turn it into actual transformation, head to listendogtraining.com or tap the link in the show notes. I'll drop it in there. Otherwise, that's it from me today. I hope this episode has sparked some new ideas, some fresh motivation, maybe even a couple of light bulb moments for you. As always, thank you so much for being here. A million gazillion thank yous for every review, every comment, every DM, every tag. If you're not following me on Instagram or TikTok already, I'm at Listen Dog Training on both. And I would love to connect and hear your success stories. Plus, if you want to see a Labrador and a Poodle living their very best lives, running around in the woods, that's obviously where it's all happening. Anyway, I'm going to let you crack on with the rest of your day, the rest of your dog walk. And I will see you next week for another episode of The Walk and Talk.